Hello and welcome back to another episode of You Want to Do What? Today we've got Izzy Pryor on, and she is the founder of Spark Social Media. Hi, Izzy.
Hello.
How are we?
I'm doing really well today. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Shall we jump straight in? And do you want to tell everyone a bit about what you do, Izzy?
Okay, fab. So I'm Izzy Pryor. I'm founder and director of Spark Social Media. This is a social media marketing and management company. I'm running my own agency approximately 1 year in, and I've been helping and continuing to help companies and personal brands to grow, succeed, and sort of sell themselves online. Essentially, put a little bit more spark into them.
Nice. I like that. So Izzy, where did this all come from? Where did your love for marketing come from? Have you always wanted to do it? How did it all start?
So if we go back to a year ago, approximately, a year ago today, I was working in a financial planning firm, extremely different to where I am today, and I just was not loving it at all. Was doing lots of accounts and revenue work, and I just was not motivated as a 20-year-old. So on the side, I started a little food blog on Instagram, and it was going really well. I was being approached by companies such as Waitrose, Co-op, protein bar brands, and
Wow.
I was really enjoying sort of creating content for them. And I wanted to learn what influencer marketing was. So I started off there, sort of learning behind the scenes of that. And because I was actually an influencer, it just fascinated me. So I started that, and then moved on to running a couple social media accounts for people who I knew had businesses. So they weren't food businesses, but I understood the algorithm. I'd grown a page to about 12,500 followers. So
Wow.
I understood the algorithm, ran a couple people's pages, and realized I'm actually all right at this. So so it started picking up, and I was doing it in my lunch breaks and after work. And then it got to a point where I had quite a lot of people asking for help. And I went, I could actually hand in my notice and do this full time. So this little side hustle actually sort of exploded. And I was like, oh my goodness, I could make a job out of this. So I sort of sat down with my mum and went, oh my God, should I do this? Like, there wasn't a huge amount of risk behind it because I was still living at home.
Hmm.
And we just went for it. And, Spark was born, and here we are a year later.
Wow. So it's essentially you started these blogs and you started to go, actually, I really enjoy doing this, and then just learn yourself. Did you use YouTube, or did you read books, or did you follow influencers and see what they were doing? Like, how you actually built the knowledge to do this?
Okay, so I didn't go to university, and I know quite a lot of digital marketers who had gone and recognised that the degree of digital marketing was super outdated. I'd spoken to so many people on LinkedIn and on Instagram, and I went, okay, I don't need to go to university because there's so much free information out there now, webinars, programs, playbooks, that you can mostly find out everything online. I did do a couple webinars, and studied so many hours after work because I didn't want to be doing work for invoicing hundreds of pounds to people and for them to go, you've got no qualifications.
Mm.
So I think a little bit of imposter syndrome came in there, but definitely I encourage people to just learn. YouTube, podcasts. I went on walks on my lunch break and I was listening to podcasts. They were great. So yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, you're one of many people to say that about marketing, and the marketing degrees are just so outdated now. And like you say, the industry, especially social, it changes every day. So having a degree on it that was written 5 years ago is kind of pointless. So it's
Definitely.
nice to hear that you're also encouraging people to basically just learn it for themselves, and you can do it. There's no excuses to not, isn't there?
Well, I've actually heard from a couple of people that in digital marketing degrees, TikTok isn't even spoken about. It's barely spoken on, which is alarming, bearing in mind in the last 2-3 years, it's blown up, and this is probably the most used social media platform today. So to pay that amount of money and to go into debt on a degree that doesn't even cover a major social media platform is quite alarming. But yeah, as you say, everything's beginning to change. This past week, we've seen Twitter being sold to Elon Musk, and the algorithms are constantly being updated. So I don't think a degree is the way to go anymore.
And that's quite an interesting point you bring up there of the way the platforms actually change and evolve quite quickly in that world. Do you actually have to, how much of your job is actually trying to keep up with what's changing literally on the backside of these platforms? I mean, obviously I hear, Elon Musk has bought it, but I don't know what the impact is for people's careers on that.
So first off, if we speak specifically on Twitter being purchased, it was said that Elon Musk is going to remove paid ads from the platform. So that this therefore means a lot of people's marketing budgets will be it will allow the marketing budget that went towards Twitter to perhaps go to another platform, TikTok or Instagram or something like, or Google Ads. So in that way, it's impactful in maybe, God, what do we do with our money now? But there are people out there whose niche is literally Twitter. So they've probably got to rethink things. But in a general sense, on things constantly changing, I mean, I follow quite a few pages and blogs, and there are a number of people that will share immediately when things have happened. So I think TikTok is bringing out long form videos in a 10-minute videos. So you've had someone speak on that, and then there's lots of discussions in communities about the advantages and disadvantages around it. So there's always somewhere where you can go and find out information on how you can help your clients, so you're not in the dark as soon as you find out this news.
So anyone listening to this that wants to work in social, what would be 3 key skills you suggest they go away and learn?
Wow. Okay. 3 key skills. Time management is a huge skill that you need to have. I mean, you probably need that with every job. You can't turn up late, but to certain things. But time management, if you've got a number of clients, you need to watch how many hours you're putting towards something, because this will impact how much you're invoicing. Your entire day is revolved around being on social media and strategizing and engaging. So time management would be one of them. Confidence. I think a lot of marketers I've spoken to have got imposter syndrome. It's a saturated market now. I mean, it is in demand, obviously, with how things are going these days, but having confidence to put your prices up, to communicate with someone and offer your services to someone. Confidence is a major skill that I am still trying to get. I'm trying to excel at. Probably creativity, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're not a creative person, then it's quite difficult to be creating content for your clients and creating strategies for other people. However, if that is not necessarily a skill of yours, there are people you can outsource to that can literally be a creative director for your business. There's always people around you that can help. So from the top of my head, those 3 skills, quite essential.
Sure. And then, when you're actually doing this, how do you stand out? Because like you say, I mean, I think there's something like 10,000 marketing agencies in the UK alone, which is just an incredible number. So how do you stand out? Is it a case of maybe like you're doing, building a personal brand, giving away not your product, but you've got to give away a lot of knowledge, right? To get the people to come and go, oh, actually, okay, Izzy knows what she's talking about.
Yeah, definitely. You touched on personal brand there. So last year I started posting on LinkedIn, and actually my first post on LinkedIn went viral, and I think this really helped me to stand out. So obviously not everyone's posts are going to go viral, but for me, that really helps me get seen on the LinkedIn, the sphere. So I've been really focusing on posting that, and to the point where I'm now fully booked out. So
wow.
It's clearly worked creating that. And I haven't necessarily spoken about business in every single post that I've put out there. Equally, as you said, providing free content. I'm always willing to jump on a call with someone if they need assistance on LinkedIn or on Instagram or something specific, on a specific platform. I think there was someone I approached who has their own food brand, and I actually offered to get them in touch with some influencers, because obviously if we think back to when I said about my food blog, I know quite a lot of the community, so I offered to get them in touch with some people, and it's led to some conversations about working together. So obviously free content, free advice. And then I'd probably say networking. One of the first things that I did when I started up this business, and I didn't have a strong LinkedIn presence, would possibly be going out and in-person networking.
Mm-hmm.
It's helped my confidence with people who are a lot older than me. I sometimes do still feel quite young in comparison to going into a room with people who are in their 40s and 50s, but at the end of the day, I use that to my advantage, because I'm in a industry that needs constant, what's the word? You need to be constantly looking at the changes, and you need some flair to you. So I sort of put myself out there, and I did stand out in the networking room.
And what was that networking room? What does that involve?
So in my hometown, there's a couple networking groups here and there, some that meet in a bar and, there's drinks and alcohol involved, and others are sort of like a morning brunch where you will talk to other people. So they could be like a web designer, or they could be a builder, a domestic builder. And I'd go and speak to people who may not have a social media account at all. I think I was speaking to someone the other week, and he said he doesn't even have Facebook. So people are trying to get in touch with him. And he's like, I don't have a Facebook account. I need you to help me set one up. And you realize that some people really don't understand social media, even though we've had it for the last 10 years, because it's not essential to their business, but it is now. So
that's such a good point, isn't it? That, social media, like anyone that wants to work in it or is just leaving school now, or maybe wants to make a career change, it's still so early doors. Like social media is still brand new. People are still learning it, and it just changes every day. So you haven't missed the boat if you want to get into it.
Definitely.
There's still so much you can learn.
100%, I agree with you there. And I love that I'm seeing so many freelancers pop up after university. They're seeing that the entry level salaries for agencies and big companies are so low that they're going, do you know what? I could earn more money than this. They create themselves a portfolio. They offer to work for free or for maybe lower pay for companies, add it to their portfolio, and then they go and approach bigger businesses and win the business, and they end up earning more money than what an agency would pay them, which is absolutely awesome to see.
It's incredible, isn't it? I mean, marketing is one of these first agencies where I think there's something happening apparently called the Great Resignation, and people are leaving their jobs to become freelancers in what they were doing at their paid jobs just for way more money. Obviously, it's difficult. You have to set your own business up, and there's a lot of stress that comes with that. But it's incredible what you can do now in marketing itself. I don't know how, obviously big agencies will survive, and, there will always be a need for them, but so many of them are going to struggle to compete against really agile freelancers, right?
I definitely agree. And obviously when they've got an office and they've got to pay for people's pensions, etc., their overheads will be a lot higher than a freelancer would. And therefore businesses they'll find freelancers more appealing. However, you can disagree with that. An agency provides more security. For instance, if we think about a different industry, accounting, my accountant is part of a company there's about 8 of them, and whenever I have a problem, I will have someone to phone up and talk to. Meanwhile, if my accountant was on holiday and I couldn't get in touch, then there would be issues there. So you could look at marketing agencies in the industry in a similar way. If you've just got one freelancer looking after your socials and your digital marketing strategy, what happens if something goes wrong when they're on holiday?
That's a great point. Maybe then it's a case of starting out maybe freelance because the salaries are really low, building up a great client booking experience, and then maybe you could approach an agency and say, look, this is what I've done, these are my clients, could we work together? Maybe that's now the future kind of strategy for it.
Yeah, I'm seeing so many people collaborating and outsourcing and all that. I think there's so many opportunities out there that people really don't need to worry and overthink the trade.
That's really interesting. And for you, what would be the biggest positive you found so far for working in marketing?
Okay, so I actually had a call with someone earlier and they asked me this question, so it's going to be a lot easier to answer it now. I ended up coaching someone who was really struggling with social media. They didn't understand anything, and they recognized they needed it to be able to develop trust and rapport with their clients. And we sat down and had a 3-hour coaching session. Wow. And she came away from it so happy. She got quite upset actually, and it was so nice. We did this in person, and I do think it was so much nicer in person than over a Zoom call, but you can do this over Zoom as well. But she felt so relieved that she understood everything that I was talking about, and I wasn't using any jargon. Those 3 hours, although it's quite long, I wouldn't usually have a phone call with someone that long, but I wouldn't like to say I changed her life, but I really helped her business. And every single time she's had a client come through social media, she's contacted me, and that has been so rewarding to hear. So actually helping someone with their business and succeed and have measurable results, that's been a massive positive for me. But on the daily, positives would be sometimes I don't feel like I'm working, especially when I'm going out networking or having virtual coffees with people or helping others with their social media. I don't feel like I'm working. And it's just a really creative and interesting industry to be part of, that I enjoy it.
And on the flip side of that, what would be some negatives of this industry?
Oh God. Okay, so complete contrast to what I've said. Sometimes I do feel like I'm working, and I've hit burnout. In February this year, I ended up hitting burnout, and it lasted for approximately 2 months. So I've only really just come out of it now, where I've got systems in place. I'm a lot more automated. So burnout came from taking on too much work and the actual impact that social media has. So if we look at it in a broad sense, social media is really a highlight reel. If we scroll through our LinkedIn feed, we'll see people hitting, 5-6 figure months. People are hustling and working so many hours. You seem to compare yourself to these people who are succeeding, and you think, oh my God, I'm not. Well, I need to work more. And it really gets you down sometimes. So social media really is a highlight reel, and that could be a negative. But also, this is a creative industry. You can lose your creative flair. It's really difficult if you're sitting in front of a laptop all day, and you don't have the opportunity to go outside and go in nature and find creative thoughts and inspiration for your work. So I do tend to lose my way with writing strategy sometimes, because I'm like, oh my God, I've hit a block right now.
So if anyone's listening to this and thinking, I'd love to work in marketing, what would be the number one thing they can do right now to help themselves get a start in the industry?
LinkedIn. Get on LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, and I know so many Instagram accounts who've gone, oh, I want to do social media, I'm going to look after these businesses. Get on LinkedIn. I'd probably say that over any others. Maybe TikTok coming against it. Obviously post, but also I'd say better than that is connect with like-minded individuals. I would honestly put down my success on LinkedIn to one single person. They held a webinar on explaining LinkedIn to marketers. Am I able to give them a shout out?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so Sophie Miller of the Pretty Little Marketer community, not committee, sorry. And she did a webinar called Level Up LinkedIn Marketing. And it was 3 weeks long. I literally went onto LinkedIn going, what the hell is this? Did 3 weeks, came away, and I posted. My post went viral, and I continued posting. And here I am using LinkedIn to achieve business and create friendships with people and actually hire people from it. So get on LinkedIn. That is what I would say.
And would you still go into this industry knowing everything you know now?
I probably would, yes. I'm not going to give a definite yes there. I'd if I could start again, I would recommend going into more of a niche. I think when I started, I did say yes to everything. So I was working with web designers and estate agents and construction companies, and every strategy that I created was very different. And I think this was one of the reasons why I hit burnout, because I was working with so many different companies and there was no real niche there. So yeah, maybe that's something that I would look at if I did go back. But I think I sort of regret not finding this sooner. That's what I would say.
Well, Izzy, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for taking the time to have a chat.
Thank you so much, Daniel.
Well, thank you. Where can people find you, see what you're up to, and what's going on?
Okay, so my LinkedIn is Izzy Pryor, and you can find Spark Social Media's accounts on mainly on Instagram, and I think I've just created a TikTok account actually. I know I'm quite slow to it. I think it's called Spark with Izzy, and that'll be more of a personal brand, but also helping people with social media tips and hacks and helping businesses there.
Brilliant. Thank you, Izzy.
Thank you very much. Bye.